Hello and welcome to the Kubeflow community meeting for Tuesday and Wednesday, the 22nd and 23rd of February, depending on your time zone. We have mostly got things about the release and testing related to it for 1.5. There may be a few other topics, but it's mostly around 1.5 because we're just trying to get that kind of finalized. But this is the agenda, so I won't go through it because we're just about to do it anyway. So I'll let Josh take it away with an update about 1.5.
Thanks, Matthew. On 1.5, as you can see from the schedule, we are in the process of distribution testing. There has been a 1.5 RC1 cut, and we have received a light, not very much feedback, but we haven't received any blocking issues or major problems with the RC1. There are some fixes that are planned. There will be an RC2. We'll give a schedule for that, but you could expect an RC2, I would say, probably within about a week, right, Amber? Something in that time frame.
Correct.
But we do encourage the distribution folks to test with RC1, and for any of the kind of the mature advanced users who feel like they'd like to take RC1 for a spin, that is available. For folks that are newer, I think you should probably wait for RC2 or a later version. But that's about the status as we have it right now.
So do we have a place where we're tracking the feedback, or where do we have a place I can link there?
There are tracking issues.
Is it just the Kanban?
Yeah,
this one's probably this one, right?
There is a master tracking issue for all the distributions. I can dig it up and put it in the doc.
Yeah, actually, like distribution testing. Meta issue. Let's just put that on there. Cool. Does that be useful for people? So can we who are the distributions represented here? And can we just kind of go through and get a feel if they are here? There may not be that many. Time zones are a bit difficult. Just to see if anyone's actually tried yet with RC1 or RC0. So is anyone from like GCP or Amazon or IBM Red Hat here?
Hello, this is James Liu for Google Cloud. So I've been testing the release candidate. One thing I noticed is that the default service account environment variable was accidentally removed from KFP. I have created a fix for that, so please go ahead and use the KFP 1.8.1 RC0 for the moment for the Kubeflow manifest. So, and that's what I have found so far. I think manifest needs to pick this up.
Oh, so is it is that not an RC1?
No, I think the manifest should pick up the KFP release candidate 0.
Oh wait, so they just didn't put it in?
No, we used to recommend 1.8.0. We patch upgrade to 1.8.1 RC0. So yeah.
So which one did not? I'm assuming that one didn't make it into RC1, is what you're saying. So what one is actually in the manifest repo?
Currently, what is in the manifest repo is 1.8.0 RC1. But I bumped it to the patch version 1.8.1.
Oh, I see.
The patch version difference. Yeah.
I see. I was confusing the numbers. So that will be in the next RC2. So we should probably put that in. If we have that distribution tracking issue, then we can maybe we should comment that here so that the people who cut the release know that they need to do that or something. Or is this the right place for that, Josh?
Yes, that would be a good place to have that. Yes.
I will move that up to the top. Distribution testing. So yeah, if you could put that under there,
Yeah.
and I'll also paste it in both. So if you could paste pretty much this, like into like pretty much just explain what you've just said in that issue so that the people who cut the release don't forget to do that.
Sure, I will do that. Thank you.
Awesome. And so anything else that Google, have you run into any problems or anything you need to raise?
This one is what I have encountered so far. I haven't finished the full testing yet, but besides that, I haven't found anything yet. But I will make sure that I raise anything if I find more.
Cool. Is anyone from AWS here? Or for example, one of those things?
Hi, AWS testing will be starting tomorrow, so we'll update the issue in case we see any problems.
Cool. So you haven't started yet, that's fine. Aricto, I guess, is doing some things, I imagine. Might as well ask Aricto as well, if they're here. I assume they've been testing.
Kimonos would have to speak to that, so I can ask him to add to the notes in the morning.
Cool. Who else we got? We've got people like D2IQ. We've got people like Red Hat.
There's a whole list of all the distribution testing in the distribution testing.
Oh, it's up here.
tracking.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So is anyone here from, we'll just go down the list. Anyone here from, we've got that one already. Aricto, Azure. Is anyone here from Azure? If not, forever hold your peace. Canonical. Is anyone here from Canonical? About Charmed Kubeflow, who can just make a comment on if you've done any testing. If not, that's fine. Obviously, it's just we just want to.
No, but they have been in the release team and they're active, and I think they're a little bit behind. But we'll ask them to provide a complete status. But they've been involved on a regular basis on the status.
Cool.
They're just not at this meeting because I think they're European based.
Yeah. IBM. Is anyone from IBM here? / Red Hat for OpenShift as well, like OpenShift IBM representatives. If not, again, I'm just going down the list to see if we've got any updates, just kind of force it out of you guys. Sorry. Anyone here from Nutanix?
Hi, I'm Vaishnavi. I'm from Red Hat, and we are planning to test on OpenShift in the upcoming weeks.
So like testing will start soon?
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Oh my gosh, there we go. And is that just for OpenShift specifically? Yep. Because where is that one?
Specifically.
So where is that living right now? Because I think our links are really out of date on the website for that one. Is there a new repo for your manifest or something? Or are you talking about ODH?
Yes, in Open Data Hub
Okay,
IO.
I'm going to call it that instead.
Yeah.
Cool, because we need to probably update the website with that as well. Because at the moment it's got IBM and OpenShift split up, but I think IBM is wanting to put it all into the ODH thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool. Nutanix, anyone here from them? Probably not, I would imagine, but David's in Europe, so that one won't be there. And the OpenShift is that one. Okay, cool. So is anyone else who's got a distribution they're supporting and I've missed them or we've missed them in the tracking and has done testing and wants to talk about it? Or a user? In fact, if any users have, I'm interested to see if anyone is a user who's tried. If not, that's probably unlikely to, but just following. Cool. Awesome. Other than that, Josh, do you want to talk about your social media stuff, what you're planning? Just so that if do you need help from the working groups and stuff, or?
Yeah, it's about 3 weeks from the release, I believe. Am I right? Or is it 2 weeks? 3 weeks? Anyway, we're weeks away. We needed a first draft. We have a first draft. I've put it there for really the release team and the working group leads to review. The blog post and the slide deck that we use for presentation to the community. So There are several pieces inside of both of those documents that the working group lead should probably look at and help correct. But probably at a high level, just want to make sure the content is properly articulated and complete. And then on the other side, I think that we need to have statements on how we're dealing with KF serving and KServe, as well as Kubeflow 122 support. And I would like to get more information on tutorials. So if folks have any of those things, those are what we'll try to do in the next week or so, is to improve the content. Then we'll wordsmith, fine tune, and we'll try to get close to a final version the week after that. But right now, this is just showing that we have a first draft. We're socializing it for feedback, and we'd appreciate feedback from the distribution and the working group leads.
Cool. So have we got, so in that, so so obviously it's not public right now, it's in a Google Doc. How does someone get access? Can you add me so I can help?
So I'm limiting the access to that. This is the way we've always done it. We've opened it up more this time, but I'll selectively provide people access to either view or edit, depending on who comes in. Typically, we wouldn't be showing these links right now. We'd just be kind of providing them in the background, but we've already let them out. So I'm fine with selectively.
Well, they're not public
letting
anyways. People can't see them.
Giving people more access. Go ahead.
People can't see them. They're not public. See their access denied.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
All right.
I don't believe they're public. Yeah, the link is there, but I'll check the slide one. Let me a second.
Yeah, Josh, you had to give me access, so you have the ability to only grant very specific access.
Yes, I'm just wondering who has access, just so we can make sure that the right people have access.
Working group leads and the release team right now.
Technically speaking, I'm a working group lead. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Yep. Anyway, we'll come back to that.
By request. By request.
Okay, by request. Okay, makes sense. Cool. Other than that, we should probably actually have it based off the Google group, because I think if we don't really use them anymore, but you could also just directly give access to the Google group that contains all the leads. May even be easier.
Yeah, if we have those lists, and we can, that would be fine.
Put that as a to do. Like, it's a lot of work. That effectively, we need to make sure they're up to date. Like there is Google group lists, but we're not really using them right now. And I also don't know if that actually works when it comes to Google Docs. I somehow doubt it would actually. So I don't think it's worth going into. Technically, I mean. Okay, cool. So anyone else got any updates for 1.5 before we move on? We haven't got that much more to talk about, which is good. Just be aware of the date of the release. And obviously right now distribution is meant to be testing. That's what we're doing. So anyone else?
We have one other topic, but let's go through the full agenda, and then we can put the introduction, how to introduce 1.5 to the community. We can put that as a later last topic.
Cool. Awesome. Okay, so this is an interesting discussion around something is happening with Kubeflow serving. Who's familiar enough with this to talk about it?
I can give the high level on it. So basically, there was some feedback that there were people who weren't, ready to upgrade to 1.5, nor were they ready to switch to KServe. So the compromise was that there would be a KF serving LTS temporary repo that would be available for 1 year. But keep in mind that this isn't a new component. There's not going to be a working group created around it. There's not going to be like a new team around it. This is just temporary for those people who need to stay on KF serving and not move to Kserve. Kserve is still going to be the default for Kserve. I guess 0.7 Kserve will be the default for 1.5. However, both KF serving LTS and Kserve will be available for 1.5. If there's not going to be any active development, there's not going to be any new features added to it. The only thing that will be fixed in the KF serving LTS, if there's issues, will be critical bug fixes and security fixes. And again, this is only temporary for those who aren't wanting or can't right now, for whatever reason, switch to Kserve. Everything will still point to Kserve. Kserve, like anybody wants new features, anything like that, it'll go through Kserve. It's not, KF serving LTS is not meant to be like a competitor or to make people choose going forward which one they want to use. KF serving LTS will eventually, or 0.6 will eventually, be deprecated and all of, going forward. It's not like everybody's going to have the choice all the time. So what we're working on is to make sure that anybody who wants to help maintain this, help, be part of the owners, if you could email either Kimonas or myself or someone and join a release team meeting and let us know. We're updating that the owners of that. We want to make sure anybody who wants to help with that can help with it. Right now it is Aricto and Google that are going to be listed in the release in the README docs, but we're working on updating all the README and getting another email out that explains more about why this was necessary, how it came about, and what it really looks like going forward. So it is a little bit confusing, and we realized that. We had a meeting with the Kserve folks last week, and so we're all really wanting to work together and make sure going forward we alleviate any confusion about that. We know that the email did kind of confuse some folks, but Kserve is where everybody's going to be pointed to. This is only for those who want to stay on KF serving, that if you're staying on 1.4 or lower, those type of things. And 0.7 will be, with Kserve, 0.7 will be the default going forward. So Josh, do you have anything to add to that?
That was a fine summary. Very nice.
So it looks to me like Kserve is, unless the folder just is not named correctly, it looks like KF serving 0.6.1 is still the one that is shipped in RC1 of 1.5, at least by default.
They'll both be there. You'll be able, it'll be KF serving and Kserve in 1.5. However, everything will point once everything is ready and updated, it will be clear that Kserve is a default for going forward.
And
So
the model
now
and the central dashboard will, and the model UI will point to Kserve.
Correct.
So maybe I'm missing something, like the manifest repo isn't doing that right now though for 1.5, or is it? Or am I just missing something? Is it under the
It's in the
section?
contrib, yeah.
Ah, I see. That makes sense.
And the documentation now, when 1.5 is out, Kserve will be listed under the add-ons. So.
Yeah, I still think we need to discuss how we rearrange those, because it's really, I think that is confusing because people have the word component thinking about Kubeflow pipelines components and so many other things.
Taya stated in an earlier email that it would be under add-ons going forward when she,
of course, but like I mean restructuring that actual section of
Yeah.
the website. That's what I'm more talking about, not there.
Yeah.
Of course,
that's the
it's
one thing
technical.
I want to bring up. Just want to give people some information about the KF serving images. KF serving used to serve under Google Container Registry with KF serving project, but we have already closed that project. So Dan from Kserve has already migrated majority of those images to Docker Hub. But just want to keep some highlight that, like, if your customer are still using KF serving LTS with version 0.5 or before, the manifest is still pointing to Google Container Registry. So they might need to change the manifest a little bit.
So is
to-
that
to be able
GCR
to use
repo
it.
actually gone?
Mhm.
Oh, that's great.
Again,
Is that repo actually been deleted, like the GCR repo, or what's happened to it? Or is it just not being added to?
it's become pirate because
I see.
it's a project that like has a cost. Currently, nobody maintain that anymore, so it has been.
What about the other old Kubeflow images? Are they still up?
For example,
Well, anything else, like all the other old ones that were pre the ECR change? Pre
For
the
what-
migration to ECR?
for what I have understand, like a lot of images has been migrated to like Docker Hub or AWS. If you find anything that is not accessible, like feel free to let me know. I can help with that.
I'm more saying that like people on older versions of Kubeflow may not realize they have to upgrade for that to be fixed. Like we really shouldn't be doing that where we drop with where we have any possibility of the places where the image are hosted to go away, because like the old manifest
Yeah,
won't
that's
work anymore.
unexpected. I'm not the project owner. This comes unexpected to me. It was an emergency, but I have already notified Dan about this, and we
Well,
have
are we able
worked
to
on the solution.
re-add it? Like just
Hmm?
bring it back up again? Because like it's better if it's really bad for the users if we drop those repos.
Yes, I understand, but I'm not the one who make the decision. I'm sorry. I can only provide solution of like a workaround that can, like if people go to the GitHub repo and find this issue, we provide solution for them to.
Because we'll need to do a patch release of all the previous versions then that doesn't have those manifests.
The
Like for
previous,
at least
do we
the
need to
versions that
do a
people are
patch
using.
version on the old version? Like maybe we should suggest them to upgrade to a latest version.
I think that's what's going to be suggested. I think the default is to encourage everyone to upgrade to KServe.
Oh, no, not KServe. I'm talking.
I
This
mean-
is about. This will affect every single component of Kubeflow.
Oh, got you.
So effectively, the old manifest just won't work anymore.
We have discussed that, and that was part of the discussion. I'm not sure where we landed on it, but I'm taking notes, and I will send an email in the morning and find out more information for that.
Because yeah, we need to clarify what's not working anymore. Like, is 1.4 still working?
As far as I know, but we'll get clarification on that.
I think 1.4 is using KF serving 0.6.
Not just
Yeah.
KF serving. Are we? Because I thought you were talking about they closed all of the projects for the old.
No,
imagery.
not all the project, only the KF serving one.
Okay, so only the KF serving one. That's okay. That's good to know.
Right.
I was really worried. I was like,
Not anything else. But if there's anything else, I think a lot of them has been moved to AWS. For example, notebook controller.
yeah, those are all. I know. I moved them there,
Yeah.
but like, I mean,
Yes,
like,
yes.
But,
So anything else, for example, pipelines is still under container Google container registry, so it's totally fine. We have all the images over there. Yeah, this only impact the KF serving.
I'll put this on the list so that we just follow it up at some point. KF serving GCR repo is no longer accessible. Like workaround is to what? So have we done the patches already on the old manifests, or what have we done?
So if people are using KF serving 0.5 or before, I would encourage them to upgrade to KF serving 0.6 or above. If they cannot upgrade, they can manually edit the image field in their manifest to point to the Docker Hub.
Manually update manifest to point to Docker Hub. Do we have a place where that is, like the link for the Docker Hub? There we go.
Yes.
Perfect. Just go there. There we go. There we go.
Cool, thank you.
Okay, the K serving user survey, they're still doing a survey. If you're a user of KF serving or KServe, please respond to their survey. I don't think there's much
Also
more to say.
share it with your networks. So even if you're on the call and you're using it and you know others who aren't on the call that are using it, please forward the survey to them as well.
Cool. Now the question Josh wanted to talk about, which is how to introduce 1.5 to the community so we can kind of get this meeting closed out, which would be great for everyone. What's your plan there, Josh? You had some idea?
So 2 parts here. One, kind of trying to define what the community's responsibilities are. And then from there, also showing what the community has delivered. So the concept would be if we could have some type of either office hour or introduction to the community. Here's how Kubeflow 1.5 in our prescribed environment is deployed. And we can walk through and show, okay, now you can see it working. And that's basically what the community develops and deploys to. And perhaps we have a sprint supported by a few people that help folks that want to test that environment for a few days, right? So it's like, hey, come and you will get prompt response if you ask questions about deploying in the prescribed environment. The second part of this is for people that want to deploy outside of the prescribed environment. So if somebody wants to go and put a distribution on GCP or on, some other environment, they can go and find those by talking to folks at Google or at Amazon or whatever, that we give them a way to see how to deploy and how those 1.5 distributions work. And then the final piece on this is for people that either want to buy commercial support because they want to go beyond the community defined, or they want to do it themselves. And really what I want to do is draw that limit that says, once you go beyond what the community has prescribed, you have 3 choices. You can either go with a managed distribution from one of the providers, the service providers. You can buy support, or you can do it yourself. You pick, and you basically live with the support that those 3 options provide to you.
So are we proposing like we just add this to the website, or because I think we should always do that anyway. I think there is a section on that. It's very, very long right now and not very descriptive. Like,
yeah, the short term would just be, can we potentially give some guidance, something to help people to show that 1.5 actually, they can deploy it in the prescribed environment, right? Here's the standard deployment pattern, and we will have an office hour to show you how it works. Now, maybe people that don't think that would be valuable. If you don't think that's valuable, fine. It's just up for discussion.
It's really up to the vendors, right? The main people who would actually have to contribute their time there are the vendors, right?
So yeah, I guess this goes to, because a lot of the questions we get are on installation.
Yes. It makes sense. It's an incredibly complex platform. But yeah, so other vendors,
in all of our best interests to try to get people to upgrade to 1.5 as quickly as possible. We don't want laggards on 1.1 or 0.7. We want to encourage people to upgrade, right?
Yeah, it is a complicated issue though, because of the fact that most of our distributions don't have easy upgrade paths. Because of course they don't, because they're like effectively each release for most of these distributions is a new product to some extent that you would have to, there's no like upgrade from the old one to the new one in a direct sense. You can do it, it's just not direct. Like there's no install. There's an install command, but there's no like upgrade command. You know what I mean?
Fair enough.
But yeah, so I'm not saying that's a bad idea. I'm just saying the thing that people need to agree are the people who would be doing the support, right? So
Yep. And so this is what we proposed at the manifest working group today, to see if they had some way that they could show, okay, here's a cluster. We're going to show how it's being deployed on the prescribed cluster. But there are a lot of intricacies there, right? There's a lot of, how do I set up, my SSO or whatever, right? And how far back do I go there?
I mean, yeah. So is what you're proposing that the distributions make a video that shows them installing it?
I was thinking for the distributions, maybe they just do an office hour
And we can
or
record
a
that, I guess.
1.5 introduction. Hey, 1.5 is available on AWS. Here's, some information on it. And here's a way to get started.
Obviously their docs would hopefully be that, and that's part of why we're trying to push all the docs to their websites. But if we could do a thing where we have like a show and tell effectively and record it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think the third part to this too is like, not just the distributions and how Josh is saying, like, I say basic, but it's so far from basic, but like the basic, here's what the community does, here's what the distros do. But the other thing that we were talking about in the manifest meeting was that this also causes people who are new to have, especially if we have office hours, where they could join and engage in a dialogue. Even if we don't have all the answers, it gets new people interacting with people that have been around for a while and builds that confidence in the community, because new people come every week. New people are joining, especially like the Slack channels and the mailing lists and all that, like every single week. And people who've been around for a while just take it for granted that people know where all this stuff is and people know where to ask and things like that. But if we had these office hours and we had some real time feedback, then that gives another place for real time engagement and people getting to know, not just individuals, but organizations getting to know who's active, who does what, all those type of things, in a predictable cadence around each of the releases. Because I mean, look, there's only how many of us in this call and how many of us are in like the morning calls. It's not even like 3% of the community that joins these community calls. So how do we get people to engage more? These office hours are a great way to do that.
Yeah. I logistically, this is the question that I have, not so much about the idea. It's more around how are we going to make this happen if you want it to happen. I think maybe organizing all of the distributions might be hard, but we could probably organize a couple of the active people to do it. Oh, sorry. I see you're coughing. Sorry.
Yes. And as Josh pointed out, we should probably have started talking to the distributions yesterday, because there's only a couple weeks out. But for those of you who are, representing the distributions that are on the call, or, those owners, like run it past them and see, and then we can start sort of kind of building out a schedule for that. Oh, and Josh, did you want to bring up moving the meeting for that week?
Yeah, the last part is on the March 8th meeting, I think it is. It's an evening meeting. It's the one, is that 2 weeks from today? That's the day before the release. We tend to have more people show up in the morning meeting, and we probably would want that meeting to be a morning meeting rather than this afternoon meeting.
We could just push it back a week because it's such a pain to confuse. It confuses people when we swap the meeting time.
I think we have 2 weeks though to sort of tell people, and you can put on the notes too for this for this date. This meeting will be held, in the morning time.
I think people just use the calendar and also the fact that they remember when it happens mostly to know, but we can definitely make a mailing list update. The danger is that because of the way the the calendar is physically set up, no one really has access to fix Well, actually, the Googlers might be able to drag one instance of the meeting up on their calendar, or someone who's an admin at Google. So if we all agree that that's what we're going to do, is someone like James or is James able to? Do you have admin access on the calendar, James?
I don't know. I can check, but what is the proposal again?
So the idea would be that we move the meeting that's on the release day to the morning time slot. Because then the 2 weeks from now, it'll be on this time slot, obviously. So if we want to do the meeting in the morning, the community meeting, we could also just have a separate release meeting, and then probably the best way to do it would be we cancel the community meeting and we have a release meeting, which is in the morning.
Well, this is a good point. Now thinking about this, we could just use the release team meeting, Amber, on Monday.
And just cancel the community meeting or something.
Or we could still have the community meeting. It's just that I figured we need to talk before the release. I mean, we probably need a community meeting before the release comes out, right? The day or two before we need to get
Maybe we
together.
should trigger. Yeah, probably what we should do is actually have the releases happen a day after the community meeting. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the way that it's.
It is the 9th is the release, but we need to get, we kind of need to, start talking about it, making sure people are aware. So we could, like you said, Josh, use the release meeting. We could add another meeting the day before, and then on the 9th. That way we're telling people we may all know about it, and we've committed it to memory. And again, there's people who don't know. Like we can talk about this all day long and put out notes every week that, hey, the release is happening on March 9th. But until it gets like right up to that day, people sometimes don't pay attention and they don't read. And then they go, oh crap, the release is in 2 days. I got questions. And so if we could have something prior to the release date, for the community, not just because I think if we use the release meeting, people will think it's just a release team and not the whole of the community.
We can just organize a meeting at the same. Oh wait, it's probably at the same time, isn't it? The release team would be at the same time as the community meeting. Anyway,
but it's on Monday.
Let's take this. I think let's take this offline. We don't need to be recording all this and having everyone see this discussion. Probably we can figure that out. So the release team should make that call, I think, as to what that meeting is. That seems reasonable. Just tell everyone what your plan is and we'll do it. And I just think that the community doesn't really need to be super involved in that logistics.
I don't know. I think it's good to be transparent, let people see.
Oh yeah, I mean, we should tell people,
and then let them kind of join the meeting if they want to like jump in on some of the conversation. So, but no, I get what you're saying.
We'll publish it. We'll publish about what the decision is, but I think it's so inconsequential to most people. It's like, is it at a time when I can come? Yes, no, then I'll come. That's kind of what I think people will do. Other than that, anyone else got any important topics, or anyone want to introduce themselves new to the community before we close out the meeting here? Just like anyone who's never been to a meeting before, just saying hi, or just anyone else who wants to turn on their video and say, hi, I'm a human. Feel free to do that now. If not, then I will stop the recording. Awesome. Thanks guys for coming. Distributions, please do your testing. Other than that, thanks for everyone for coming and have a good day/night.
Thank you, Matthew.